Okay, we're good. I'm hearing you, and let's start.
Mhm.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Burnout Triumphants number 5 with Jen Lowe. Jen has lived and worked across 5 continents in a full career spectrum of human resources development. And she's also the co-author of Coach Passport, A World of Possibilities, and has also produced digitally animated cartoons for CEOs. She ran her own boutique organizational leadership development consultancy service across Asia. She currently provides research-based insight meditation and wellness coaching services. She'll tell us more. Today, she's here to share her amazingly interesting story of her burnout experience. I'm Pavel Petkov, and I will be your host. So, first off, I just want to start with a small shout out to DigiBurn. DigiBurn is the organizer of Burnout Talks and Burnout Triumphants, and our mission is a burnout free society. We're raising awareness with our internet content, and we want to help people balance their work and personal life. We want you
Mhm.
guys to burn in the good way. We're developing a self help app created with a team of experts in psychology and mobile app development in order to help young and experienced professionals track their current well being and show them points where they can improve so that they can be sure to keep their drive in the long term without being at risk of burnout. The beta of the app will be launched in a couple of weeks from now, and so we're looking for early adopters and beta testers. So if you're interested, check out the description below so you can register for the early adopters list. And guys, if you're watching right now live, just feel free to join in with any questions and comments that you have. And now back to the star of the show, back to Jen.
Mhm.
Jen,
Yes,
how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great now. Thank you.
Good, amazing. So let's start off by telling us your story. Tell us, what do you do professionally?
I used to be a management consultant and leadership coach, and as part of my work, I have to, travel from continent to continent, country to country to design projects and implement them. So basically, my work is it involves implementing strategy into organization systems for organization development. And at the same time, I was also coaching the leaders in that organization, from the chairman and the CEO to the middle management. So a very busy, and what I thought was a very fulfilling, career fulfilling life. And later, I decided not to travel more than 3 hours. And so I set up my own boutique consultancy, focused on Asia
Great.
rather than, intercontinental.
Yeah, so you're doing a lot of stuff, constantly traveling to different places, learning new
Mm-hmm.
things. So maybe that um, used to collect in your mind and maybe led you to burnout. So let's get into the burnout part of your story, since that's the main thing. Uh, Tell us about maybe the beginning or what led up to it, in your opinion.
I've actually not realized there was a burnout, because if you can imagine a smartphone that's really smart, not not that I'm saying that I'm smart, but if you equate it to a smartphone that gives you a lot, right? And so uh, it's a slow burn, and I believe many professionals are like me. They do not feel the burn. It's not like it's a sudden burst and of like a sudden burn, explosion of energy, and then that's gone. It's a slow drainage of energy. And because I thought I was leading a fulfilling life, career fulfilling life. There was so much to do, and I was not even aware of the burnout. But I did, towards the beginning of that burnout journey. I began to feel uh, body aches, migraine, and of course the restlessness, the constant movement built up an inner sense of restlessness. So if I couldn't sit still, I was always fidgeting and always ready to go off somewhere. So that's the initial part of it. And as time went on, I began to feel that my jaws, I was talking all the time, giving presentations, talking to clients, training and explaining the systems and so on. I began to feel not just body aches, which require constant massage, but also a feeling that my jaws were locked.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a strong ache, but it's like a vague sense uh, of dullness. And so the need for massage increased in frequency from weekly to every 2 days. So I it got to such a bad state that if I were to talk for 15 minutes, I would have to go away and rest for 3 hours at least to recharge. So it's
Extremely
I also had diarrhea,
yeah.
but because of the lifestyle I led, I would just pop in some pills, anti-diarrhea pills, and off I go to do my
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, and so I didn't know I had burnout until one day I arrived in a country where I was thinking of setting up my fourth set up a fourth office base. And then I met for the first time uh, some monks that was in Myanmar. Uh, and they seemed so peaceful, so at peace, not like the striving perfectionist that I am, always striving for the next wave.
Yeah.
And so they seemed so at peace. It struck me. And so I discovered that one of the practices that they observe on a daily basis is insight meditation. And when I first tried that out, I felt, and this was that towards that end part of my burnout, or rather mid to end part of my burnout experience.
Mm-hmm.
When I first tried insight meditation, I felt a vortex, like a volcanic eruption of thoughts. It was so busy in my head, all these thoughts that just poof came out nonstop. And other than the thoughts, the vortex I felt was also that of like a rainstorm. It just poop, and then the sweat was just pouring from my head, the whole body. And when I did, you as part of the insight meditation practice, you have to sit, which is where I got experience all these phenomena, and you have to walk. And when I walk, wherever I walk, there was like a flaming wall of fire that followed me everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know up to that time that I had absorbed a huge amount of stress over the course of my career. Because if you can imagine, I've worked intercontinental, and there are huge cultural shifts that I have to make very quickly to connect to the clients on the spot. So I was in the past, I used to be always reaching out, connecting, uh, and I've never really connected with myself to myself. So
Yeah.
at that time, I started to feel, what is this? You know, mm, what is happening to me? And I think that was all the burnout symptoms coming out, full blown.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while. It took a while. Uh, and during that time, remember, I'm a skeptic. I'm a skeptic. I wasn't spiritual at all. I was always advising people. And for a change, the meditation teacher, who's very skillful, was very gentle with all the responses, because I was wondering, what does walking and sitting have to do with anything? But slowly, through patience of the teachers, I learned that to develop wisdom and to see things as they really are. And slowly, today, I realized that what I went through was a burnout, and it was also an opportune time to develop, for me to pause
Mm-hmm.
and give time to myself. And that's where the spiritual awakening happened. And so today, I feel an inner peace. I practice meditation, and I don't overcommit. I
Amazing.
don't overcommit because in the past, there was always a reason to why why it would be so challenging and so wonderful, and wonderful and accelerated manner feeling, where I would take on more and more and tougher and tougher challenges. But today, I'm more mindful.
Great.
I'm
Could you
more
say that
mindful.
you
Mm,
kind of felt addicted to like taking on new challenges and climbing new peaks?
definitely, definitely. I didn't recognize at that time, but definitely it was an addiction to high achievement, to seeing the performance, and to always challenge myself to ride the next wave,
Mm-hmm.
be ahead of the next wave. So yes, it was an addiction, although I didn't recognize at that time. So now I'm willing to let go
Yeah, to
and be more
stay back a
balanced.
little bit. Yeah. So could we just go back a little bit and talk
Hmm.
about how would you describe from now looking back, um,
Hmm.
maybe the middle part of your burnout? What did your lifestyle look like so that people can see if they might have something similar? Like, what were some worries that you had? How was your maybe your concentration levels, your motivation? How did you feel in that middle part of the burnout?
Um, I I would say I think, I used to work 16 hours,
Whoa!
and then it stretched on every day there was no holiday.
Wow!
And it the concentration was still there, uh the energy was still there, and the willpower to move, to get on with things was still there, but it just became harder. If you can imagine, I mean, nowadays we have automatic cars, but if you imagine you were in those old cars where it's fourth gear and you're going uphill, and the car just gets loud, engine just gets louder and louder when you're driving uphill at
Hmm.
a steep 45 degrees incline. So it was like that. So I was just pumping in more and more energy just to get the same level of performance
Yeah.
and
So
achievement.
to kind of
Just because.
compensate maybe for feeling that exhaustion that you talked about 5 minutes ago. Maybe that could
Yes,
have been the case. You're just trying to
yes.
compensate, and yeah, but you didn't realize.
Mm,
You weren't even thinking like something's wrong. You were just, well, I'm feeling that way. It's gonna go away, right?
mm.
That's
Um, Remember, burnout was not in my dictionary,
yeah.
so it was just like, oh, maybe it's just that I'm taking on too much, right? But then I promptly forget it when the next offer comes along, and I was at the peak of my business career.
Mhm.
I was getting more and more offers to do more interesting projects. So how can I say no? Because this is the dream success story. And
Yeah.
at the peak, there was a venture capitalist that offered me 50 million US dollars to take the company global.
Hmm.
So it's like, wow, okay. But I guess luckily for me, I arrived in a country where life is slower paced, and I noticed for the first time that there are people with inner peace shining out on their face. And I
Hmm.
was like, how do you do it? How do you get that sense, that equality that they convey, that sense of peace.
So that was the moment where when you said, you know what, I want to change. Was that the moment when you
Nope,
realized no?
nope, no. But I did pause. Remember, this is like a train, or that was going full speed.
Hmm.
But I look back at the people that, I was like a bystander who noted, and I look back. I took a second glance, And I said, oh, this might be interesting. This might be a new thing for me to try. I mean, it was like a challenge to me at
Yeah.
that time. So as I said, I felt like a volcano. You know, it was painful when I first started. It was
Mm.
painful. For somebody who's always on the move, to sit down, wow, for hours. And so slowly, the insight meditation involves moving from brisk walk, 2 steps. And as you slow down, it becomes a structured 6 steps. And you have to be aware of yourself, of your feelings, of the sensations that you're feeling, of the what's happening around you, and your responses, because it's about what your responses are to what's happening around you. You always have to note that moment to moment. And as I slow down from a brisk walk, I wasn't even when I started having a brisk walk. I was marching because I was a boss, remember? So I
Yeah.
was like marching ahead and like leading people, in an army. So I was marching and people look at me horrified, they were like, other meditators were like, who is this person who's like marching across the hall? So if you can visualize that, and then slowly, oh, and in my first interview with my meditation teacher, he was astounded because what I said to him at first was that I've set myself some KPIs, key performance indicators, for my first meditation session. And he was like open mouth because that was me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, an immediate change, transformation, but it took me maybe over time, 3 years part time to 4 years full time to change. And slowly I gained certain insights. And the inner peace comes out. It actually shows on your surface of it, on your look, on your face. It comes out from inside to the surface. The 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 face actually looks calmer and shining. I don't do as much meditation as before when I was doing full time. So if you imagine, I switched from 16 hours work every day
Hmm.
to 14 hours meditation every day.
Wow.
And from talking to maybe 1,000 people at a conference and on leadership and so on, and organization development themes, I switched to not talking to anybody for 14 hours for years. And so I had to face myself.
Yeah, that must have been hard.
It was hard at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the sense of restlessness, the sweat that came out, and the flaming wall of fire behind me. So it was kind of like suffering in the beginning.
Hmm.
And then what happened was that over time, the transformation that came about was amazing. And I would like to share that from now on with people. It's just amazing. There's a calmness, and after the release of tension from your body,
Hmm.
and there's a connection with yourself. You're much more aware, to the point that when you're much more aware of yourself moment to moment, you're also aware of others around you. How are they feeling? The undercurrents in the environment. It's very hard to explain, but it's very different. So as I was empowered, I would like to empower others in the future on how to manage your burnout. And in the sense that after you've like tested your burnout symptoms with DigiBurn, there is a way. There's a path forward. And it's not just about mindfulness, it's about the wisdom to balance your life, to have equanimity in your life. and wisdom to handle things.
Yeah. What would you say do different now than maybe in the period that you were burning out? What has
Mm,
in your day-to-day life?
mm, well, there was the before, and now's the after, and there was the in between where where it's meditation.
Hmm.
And I think that the in between where there's meditation, inside meditation, um, it's very similar to the pandemic lockdown now, where you can't go out and socialize. You just have to face yourself.
Yeah.
And there's a way to deal with that sense of loneliness that many people feel. Uh, and it's actually a good time to take a pause and to check whether you've suffered burnout all that time when you're out there and socializing. Now, what I'm going to do is to use the research, because after I've come out from meditation, insight meditation, uh, I've been doing research into ancient wisdom,
Hmm.
um, Greek, East West, Greek and Chinese, and the Buddhist, the Buddha, right? Wisdom, Buddhist wisdom, and put together, the knowledge that I've gained, the wisdom I've gained from the past centuries, 2,000 over years old, into an empowering journey for people who high achievers, because we can't say they're burnout until you've tested them.
Hmm.
So for the high achievers, once they're tested, they know they're suffering from some of the symptoms. Um, they may not be aware of it now. If you say, "Are you suffering from burnout?" They'll say, "Moi, me, you know." Nobody. I mean, if you're so busy with your life, you won't realize it. So you don't need to check.
Yeah, it's
And once you know, mm,
extremely common to for people to have no idea that something's happening.
correct. And uh, and they, even if they have a sense, like I didn't have a sense because I was always out connecting outwards. I
Yeah.
didn't have a sense, but you know, you need to check. Take a pause. Very busy people, people who are on top of their their world, you or domain, you just have to check once in a while, maybe at least once a year. Uh, am I getting the symptoms? And then after that, what do I do about it?
Hmm.
And I highly recommend people to go on this different journey of awakening, of awareness, connection to yourself, moment to moment. But I must warn people, if they're actually suffering from burnout, they will suffer when they first start, like what I did. And I was such a skeptic, secular skeptic. And I used to challenge my teachers. I feel shy thinking about it now. So now I have that knowing. I feel like I am in an awakened state.
Hmm. Amazing. That's just it's great. So, how would you say that nowadays? How do you protect yourself from having high levels of stress and potentially burning out again because it happens to some people? How do you stop that even as a possibility?
Um, there are two ways to answer that question. Uh, one one is in relation to myself, and one is for those people who choose to stay in their careers
Hmm.
before the burnout became stronger and stronger. Yeah, for them. So in my case, I've changed the direction of my life,
Yeah.
and now I want to empower others in mental and emotional wellness. So I will be launching online meditation sessions, uh, and also some classes to understand your mind better.
Amazing.
However, for those who choose, especially those who are in who are leaders and management of either public sector or private sector organizations, or even stars, celebrities who can't, media is social media celebrities who can't cope with the upsurge in attention and sudden disappearance of the star status profile. There's a way to handle it. If you want to stay where you are, you don't want to change your life direction, I would say do annual checkups on your health. And if you have once tested for mental stress and high blood pressure, it's time to add uh, another instrument that tests whether you're suffering from burnout symptoms
Mm-hmm.
on an annual basis at least. And then sign up for courses where you can uh, gain inner peace in order to go back to the world that worldly challenges that you've been facing in your career, because it's like recharging the battery.
Yeah.
And in the reservoir is depleted. So once you recharge, you'll be able to go back and face uh you know all the stresses and tension. Remember, people who are high achievers, they they can absorb a lot of stress,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
huge amount. And I used to pride myself on being able to do that and just brush it off, and get on with things. But at some point, it will be depleted. So once that happens, that's a tipping point.
Yeah.
Again, I go back to that analogy of the smartphone. Once that smartphone is overused, after that, you'll find that you have to recharge the battery much more frequently.
Great
So,
analogy. Yeah.
yeah. So maybe that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah. For sure is. Well, thank you for telling us your amazing story. It's really interesting, and it's one of a kind. Your story than the others that we've had on Burnout Triumphants. So it's amazing. Do you have anything you want to tell everyone watching?
Um, I I would like to also share, perhaps because maybe this is what I do now, and I'm so enthusiastic.
Great.
Yeah, a bit about what you will progressively eliminate when you do insight meditation, which is beyond mindfulness meditation. That's the buzzword today. Um, and being the being a boss, there was a lot of anger in me before. If my staff do not get things right, because I was a perfectionist. So there's that impatience that comes with perfection, being perfectionist. So when you do meditation, progressively you cut off that anger in you that flares up very quickly due to impatience. Slowly. So anger that I have to say, high achievers are also very competitive. So
Hmm.
that's that sense of sometimes it borders on hostility towards others who are your strong competitors. So through meditation, I was also able to cut through slowly. Now it's more a sense of collaboration rather than competition with others. And the anger doesn't come flare up, you know, very fast.
Yeah.
It's been cut off. And that sense of and you know you you need to also trust people, and that comes with the wisdom, because you're able to gauge people, the inner core of others, much more accurately, because the sense of intuition comes out uh, very strongly as you progress in your meditation. You don't need to judge people on their appearance, what they say, what they pay lip service to and so on. You can understand people uh, in a more, it's like seeing people and things for what they are. So um, it helps actually in your career if you still work at, in those industries which are very, which demand high performance and competition. Like I still do leadership coaching now, and I have a very senior leader who asked me, how do I know what my employees tell me is true or not? Because as the boss, they often tell me what they think I like to hear. So my sharing with him was that uh, develop your sensing power. So you will be able to sense what they're not saying. And what they're saying, not only that, what they're saying, but emotionally, what they're not saying to you.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes, what you're saying could be in conflict with what you're feeling, and you will be able to sense that. It's what I mean by that kind of wisdom. And uh, and also as a business leader, you'll be able to sense the environment. When you read something, you can read not just what's in print or on the screen. You can read beyond that. That's the kind of wisdom that sees, that's insightful. And you can only develop that insightful wisdom from this meditation. So um, I would like to share that.
Great.
Yeah. And so the other thing, and we're coming back to the burnout situation. If you've gone through this journey, insightful journey, you will also change your life priorities and balance. So if you begin to have that sense that you are loading loading your work onto yourself and getting and taking on too many commitments, then it's time to check yourself whether you're headed towards burnout again.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank you, Jen. This was a very good conversation. It was very interesting for me. I hope every one of you guys that watched right now and is watching later enjoyed it. And feel free to subscribe and like the video if you're on YouTube. So
Thank
thank you,
you.
Jen, and thank you guys for
Thank you.
watching.
Mhm.
Goodbye.
Can I just invite people to visit my website to be launched in a few weeks, like yours?
Of course,
And
guys.
it's ewisdom.life. Yeah, E for electronic, like e-commerce.
Yes. And
Ewisdom.life.
guys, it will be linked in the description of the video, so you can go check out Jen's website.
In a few weeks, like
Yes,
yours.
in a few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching, and thank you, Jen.
Hmm.
Goodbye.
Bye.